Okay, this project that I just finished, well, I just started it really. It's the first section that I've done. Um, I want to remind you that when I do my voice recordings, there's a couple of things that I use. For just the audio snippet to make an MP3 file, I use Audacity. It's a free open source software that you can download to your computer. It works great. And my husband bought me this pretty decent headset from Radio Shack that gives me really nice audio quality. Um, I use Cam Studio, open source free software to do the video recordings, which is what I'm using to record this right now. So I've got this folder here called Pilates. I got a book from Goodwill, and I took Pilates in college years ago. So I'm familiar with it, but I haven't done it in a while, and I thought it was nice to run into this. And then I figured since I keep practicing this whole web design and multimedia thing, it might be fun to use my cell phone and take pictures of the book. Of course, this is for private use only. This is my book. This is for me. I can't duplicate what I'm doing and turn this into some kind of web page that I can actually put out there because it's not my book. But for the purposes of this just educational tool right here, I think I can get away with it. This isn't anything that anybody could use but me. So anyway, I've got the um, file right here called Pilates. If you go in there, I have pilatesindex.html. That's what I named my program. I'm going to right click it and hit edit with Notepad++, which is what I always use to do my coding in. And then I have box here, another folder called box. And if I open that, I have four more folders, one for audio snippets, one for images, one for other pages, other HTML pages, and one for video. So if I make any video of myself doing these exercises and then I want to somehow incorporate that in this pilatesindex.html page or or in pages itself, then I'll do so. But back to box. Audio, this is where I put all my MP3 files that I created using Audacity. Basically, I took a picture of a page, I read the page, and then I saved the MP3 file that would correspond with the page. If I go back to box and look at images, there's the images that I told you about. Now I've got two things going on. I've got the original sized image that if I click on it, this is the actual dimensions. If you look at that 3,264 by 2,448, that's a fairly large image file, which is okay for me to leave if I expect this to be open like in a large monitor, then I might want that stretchability. So I could keep a set of these very large file size, but I also want some like thumbnails. So I wound up opening. So what I wound up doing is I wound up all of my images, including something I've got called cover.jpg that'll open when I initially open this program. You see these bouquet of flowers that I got for my birthday this year that are a little bit enhanced. I have a folder called Mini, so I highlighted all of my pictures here and I copied and pasted them in this folder named Mini, and then I right clicked the image and or you could hit open or open with. I have Microsoft Office Picture Manager that I was using, but you could also resize your images in Paint. So either or, if you go to Microsoft Office Picture Manager and you open your image in that, it's taken a second. Oh, here it is. It's behind everything. If you go to Edit Pictures, then you go over here to Resize. You can do a percentage of the original width and height. Well, this was originally 3,000 something by 2,000 something, so I put 10% in this box. And that took me down to 326 by 245. I'm not going to do it again because then I'll just have a 33 by 25 and this will be more like an icon instead of like a thumbnail. So I just want to get out of this. Let me just get out of there. I don't want to save any changes with that. And I did that to every single one of these images. So instead of it being 3,000 something by 2,000, I did a 10% resize. So they're all 300 and something by 326 by 245, which makes it a lot quicker to load. You should not use an image file any larger than you really need for your purposes because it does take a long time to load the bigger the file is. Okay, so what else do I need to show you in box? Let's see, images. I showed you these are my original images from my cell that I have got them smaller and mini. Pages. I have let me right click, edit with notepad, that one. Let me right click and edit with notepad my cover and Pilates index. Okay, what else do I need to show you? Video, I don't have anything in video yet, but I will. Okay, so that's basically all we've got going on so far. Let me close out of this. Let me show you my actual Pilates index.html, my program page itself. I want to put these side by side. So, well, I could leave it like this. This cover page automatically opens. These up here are image links. You see as I hover over each image, the border color goes from green to yellow. So I have a hover event for those things. And I also have a click event. I can click this and it will open this page right here where this bouquet of flowers is, and it will automatically start reading the book. Okay, so if I click on this, and then also what happens is the border around this image is going to go white. So let me click on it. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Oh yeah, there it goes. I know you can't likely hear, but this is my voice reading this page. So let me stop this. My plan is to open this up with a Chromecast on the big screen TV so that in my living room, instead of looking at the book and doing these exercises, I can run this on my big screen TV and just, since it'll be casting from the phone, I can click on here and follow the video as the audio is reading it, and then I can go to the next one and it'll explain how to do the next exercise and so on and so forth. And so that was basically the plan with this. I'm basically just reading how to do the particular exercises. I'm not actually giving any time before the next page opens because I do have incorporated in the code a meta refresh event so that if I figure out how many minutes I want each page to run, like listening to the instructions that I read, and then when I actually do the exercise myself for the number of reps they request, I'll like have a timer going off so I can guesstimate how long it takes for me to do it. And then in my meta refresh tag, I'll put that many seconds on there so that when you turn this on the TV, you won't have to keep going to the phone and clicking each one of these pages. It will go to the first page, and after so many seconds go by, it'll automatically go to the next page, and so on and so forth, until this whole stream of pages automatically bounces to the next one and the next one after so many seconds. And of course, each page is going to have a different number of seconds before it refreshes, because each one of these reading audio snippets, they're not all the exact same length. But I haven't got to that part yet. I also thought that maybe I would have this move over here to the left and over here to the right might be a video of me actually doing the exercise. So here you could click this. If I make this something the user has to click instead of it auto playing, they can listen to the instructions on how to do it over here, or they can just turn on the video over here to the right and just follow along. I could follow myself. So as I start, I could just watch that. So that's just a couple of ideas that I have, but I'm not there yet. So this is kind of like the beginning step. And of course, this isn't the whole book, but this is, I don't know, maybe 25% of it or so. It's kind of hard to tell. Just getting started. So now let me put this on half and half so I can show you the code. What I could do is I can click on let me refresh it. Let me see. No, it doesn't go to the cover. I have to actually go out of here and rerun it completely again. Launch in Firefox. Okay, now you'll see the cover page, which is just this bouquet of flowers. And what I just said that you couldn't hear is I said, welcome to this first section of Pilates. Just a little introductory snippet, an introductory audio snippet with this bouquet of flowers. And this is opening up this page called cover.html. So let me show you the code just for this cover page right here that the iframe is opening. HTML beginning and ending, head beginning and ending, style, body has a text align of center, image and audio, both those tags are going to have a border of thick black ridge and a border radius of 20 pixels to round it. Thick black ridge is actually showing up as gray. If I change that black to red and save it, you'll see it shows up better. So the image tag and the audio tag are both given this red ridge around it. That ends the style. Oh no, I also have another audio style padding 15 pixels, and the reason I had to give it a padding of 15 pixels is because of this little number up here that shows how many seconds. If I hit this, do you see how this shows the milliseconds that go by? If I take that padding off, or if I just give it 5 pixels, you'll see how that timing indicator gets chopped off. So I don't need to have it show, but since it's part of this player, I want to have it show. So I had to toy around with the padding until I could find the right padding that wouldn't chop into it, which is 15 pixels. Okay, so that's the end of the style. Here is the meta refresh tag that I was talking about. This will take this cover page and with the http/equiv equals refresh, content equals 1000 semicolon, URL equals 1.html. What that will do is in 1000 seconds from the time cover.html loads, after 1000 seconds, it's going to go straight to this 1.html page, which if I run that, launch it in Firefox, that's what 1.html page looks like. And it's the same thing that if I push this, click on this image right here, this is the cover page opening here. If I click on this first image, 1.html opens right here, the same way the cover page did. And this shows that this audio snippet is 1 minute and 30 seconds. And this indicator shows that 8 seconds have passed through that. So anyway, the content being 1,000 seconds, if you go into your calculator and you take 1,000 seconds, 60 seconds makes 1 minute. So if you divide 1,000 by 60, you're going to see how many minutes. 16.66 blah blah blah. So you round that off to a little more than 16 and a half minutes, 16.67 minutes. After that many minutes goes by, it's going to bounce to this page. And then after 16.66, it's going to bounce to this page. And you don't even have to, as the user, you won't even have to click on these. I'm not going to wait that long between pages because it shouldn't take that long. Each page, I'm going to guess, should probably take 5 minutes or less, which would chop this down. If this were 5 minutes, 5 times 60 would be 300 seconds. And for each page that you're on, I'm on 1.html, the next page that follows, I put a tooltip here to remind myself what I named the HTML. This is 1.html, this is 1b.html, this is 1c.html, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, all the way to 12. The reason that these are B's and C's is because when I first took pictures, I thought I got pictures of all the pages, and these 2 pages were missing. So maybe the pages were sticking together as I was taking pictures. So I had to, instead of changing what all of these pages were called and what all of the files, the image files were called, and all of the MP3 files, the audio that went with it, I just created these intermediary pages, 1B and 1C, and just stuck them in between 1 and 2. So therefore, when I'm on this page right here, 1.html, after 1,000 seconds or however many seconds I figure I want there, the URL means the next page it's going to open, in this case, is 1b.html, which is this one. So we're going to go from this page to 1b to 1c. And then there's the end of the head and the end of the body. I mean, the end of the head and the beginning of the body. So going back to this page, 1. Pause this. We've got image. Oh no. Image. Source equals dot dot means wherever 1.html physically is in your folder, I have to hop out of that folder and then look for the images folder, and then inside the images folder look for the 1.jpg file. That is the correct path from where this page is located to where this image is located so that it links it up. I have Alt as a 1. That way, if this image breaks, let me misspell 1.jpg by putting a Z in front of it. Oh, excuse me, and saving my file and refreshing the page. Okay, of course, I have to totally turn it back on because Firefox is like saving information, so when I refresh, it doesn't take me to the very beginning load. Do you see how there's no picture here, but there's a number 1? That's what this Alt does. Now, if I take the C off and refresh the page, the image comes right back. Okay. Whoops, I should have taken that off. Yet. Okay. I want to pause this though. Title means that when I hover over the page, that's a tooltip. I gave the tooltip the same value as the Alt. If the page is broken, you see a number 1. If you hover over the image, you see number 1. And I gave the image a height of 85%. And I started off with a width, but I wanted to maintain aspect ratio, so I Z'd out the width so that this image is going to keep, you see, as the height goes up and down, the image gets larger or smaller, but doesn't get skewed. It maintains its proper aspect ratio by only giving it a height value, not a height and a width. Then I put a break tag here because I didn't want my audio player, as this gets smaller and smaller, I didn't want it to bounce next to it because that's what it was doing. Without the break tag, it was flowing up here and bouncing and landing on the right hand side of the image. And I wanted it to remain vertically aligned, right underneath the image. Okay, so after the break tag, I have my audio controls. And this is why it was auto playing, because I gave it the setting of autoplay, which I may or may not keep. Now, it's a good idea to keep autoplay if I'm going to use this meta refresh tag, because after so many seconds it's going to bounce to the next page. And if I'm trying to make this a hands-free event, then using meta refresh will automatically move to the next page, and to be truly hands-free, the user shouldn't have to click the audio to play it. So therefore, having autoplay here along with the controls is a good idea for this particular scenario that I'm looking at. Then we have the source tag right here, source src equals, and the same thing that I had to do here, I had to do 2 dots to go outside of the current folder that I'm in, a /, look for the audio folder, and inside the audio folder I'm going to link 1.mp3, and it's going to link my actual voice snippet here. And in this case we've got type audio /mpeg. And just in case someone's trying to run this in a very old browser that does not use the audio tag, we have this error message that says your browser does not support the audio element. Try downloading a newer browser like Chrome, Firefox, or Opera. There's the end of the tag, the end of the body, and the end of the HTML. Remember, as long as you're using a newer browser, the audio or video tags will work just fine, and this error message won't show up for the user. Alright, so there's our 1.html page. And I think, did I show you the... Yeah, and I've already showed you the cover page. I'll run it again for reminding you how this used to be a black border, even though it looked gray, and I wound up making it red. Very simple. These are very, very simple web pages. Let's go back to the main. These are just the individual pages themselves. Let's go back to the main program page, Pilates index.html, and run that, because that has our navigation and everything. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. And let's just go through all this. There's our HTML, the top of this entire page, not just the iframe stuff, but this entire thing, even with these image links. There's the top of the HTML, and I guess I could get rid of these too. And all the way down here's the bottom. Here's the ending body tag as well. So HTML head link. This is how you link. This is how you link an icon file or a 50 by 50 other image file, but I haven't created one yet. I will create a pilates.ico or .jpeg or .png. I just don't have one yet. When I do, there'll be a little image that'll show up here, and here's the title. Naturally it's Pilates, and that's what you do see up here in the tab. This link right here is for an external style sheet, which I don't believe I'm using at this time. Let me see. Let me go back in here and go in box and pages. Oh, I do have a Pilates styles. Let me right click that and edit with notepad. Okay, so I do. Let me get up there. Okay, this style sheet was copied and pasted from another project, so some of this stuff is being used and some of it isn't. For instance, this body with a font size of 1.6 em, I don't believe I'm using any text in any of these pages, so font size is not appropriate. I mean, it's just basically an unused style. It's in my style sheet, but it's not being used. Box, do I have box? I do have div with class box, and that's what the tan is. At the top, there's a box, and at the bottom, there's a div with a class box. It gives you the tan and the rounded. So class box has this style. Border 15 pixels, tan outset, margin bottom 0 pixels. That means that this section hugs right up against this section. Margin top equals 0 pixels, padding 5 pixels, border radius 20 pixels, background color tan, and text align center. Text align center so that all of these images stay centered no matter how wide or how narrow the page goes. Okay, that's enough of that. Stop. Oh my God, it's not stopping. I want it the other way. All right. Paragraph. I'm not using any paragraphs. So this is another style that's here because it was a copied and pasted style that's not being used at this point. I may use it in the future, so I'm not going to erase it. I have an image style that says border thick green ridge, border radius 10 pixels. I had a width, but I took it off, and I have a height of 60%, and that's what these are. A height of 60%, I believe. I guess it's for all image tags. It's a height of 60%. I have an image hover that has a border of thick yellow ridge. When I hover over these, you see how it turns yellow? If I were to turn that from yellow to red, and save it and refresh, then when I hover, it turns red. But I don't really find that to be enough of a contrast. I like it to really pop. So I'm going to go back to what it was. Yellow. I like that better. Yeah. Okay. I have an image with an ID of half that has a height of 60%. I don't know what difference that makes because my image in general has a height of 60%. So this is probably something I could actually delete. Then I have another thing, image with an ID of tiny, which I believe is what these are using. It has a height of only 50 pixels and a width of 75 pixels. So I believe that this image ID tiny is valid, and I believe that I'm using them for these up here. And I will see once I get in the body of the HTML page itself. Then I have this A, which stands for link. I had to set this text decoration to none, and let me show you why. Let me misspell text decoration none and save the code and run it. Can you see there's little dashes down here in between each one of these image links? And it took me a while to even figure out what the heck that was. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, okay, if these were words, links normally have underlines under them. So I figured, well, this must be a text decoration issue. So I actually figured, let me try text decoration set to none and see if that works. And it actually indeed worked, which was kind of nice because if I couldn't figure it out on my own, I was going to have to Google it. Okay, so that's everything in the Pilates style.css external style sheet. And that's basically what this pointed to. If I were to create any external JavaScripts for this, I would put it in something like this, but I have not created that at this point. Okay, so we're done with the head stuff. Now let's get to the body stuff, the actual element tags that we're looking at. We have a div with the class of box, and if you remember, class of box gives us all of these styles. Then here is the interesting part. And this, all of the, basically this right here is copied and pasted over and over again, with the only thing changing is what the image is. Everything else is the same. So let me highlight the image tag first. The image tag is all of this, purple here to purple there. Image ID equals tiny, and again ID is image ID tiny. That's how we styled that. Height 50 pixels, width 75 pixels. So image ID tiny, source equals box / images / mini, because these are the thumbnail versions, / 1.jpg. I gave it an alt of 1, so when I hover, not when I hover, but if I told you if one of these images are broken, you'll see a number 1 there, and the title is the tooltip. When I hover over it, it says 1, and like I said, I only did that so that I could kind of keep track of the page that I was working on with the image that I was working on. Let's see. On click. Here's an on click event. Once I click on this, you see how this turned white? Well, on click equals style.border color equals white. Return true. So all of that's the image tag. On the outside of the image tag, we are going to nest a link tag. So here, from here to here, this purple and this purple closing link tag. Aref equals box / pages / 1.html. Target equals TV. This iframe that I have down here has a name of TV, and so when we click on this image, the link, the path to 1.html web page will open in this iframe called TV. And that's how that works. You have an image tag and you surround it by a link tag. And the same thing here, except we go from 1.html, the next one is 1b.html, and the source box images mini 1b JPEG, alt is 1b, title is 1b, on click is the same thing, style.border color equals white, return true. And all of these, all the way to this ending one, right there, that's the ending one, and then the end of the div tag. So now I've showed you the code for this whole little navigation of images. And now we have div class box, our second one, the tan box on the bottom, where we have our iframe. And our iframe goes from this purple opening tag to this closing tag. The opening tag, iframe ID equals TV, name equals TV, source equals box, the folder box, and then you look inside of that folder for another folder called pages, and inside of that folder you're going to look for cover.html, which is when you first run it, cover.html opens with the flowers in the iframe, and you get this welcome audio clip. I have scrolling equals auto, frame border equals 1, height equals 80%, width equals 95%, style equals text align equals center. And this is interesting. Style equals, and all of this in double quotes, the word text align equals, and then center in single quotes inside of all of that. And then there's the end of that div, the end of the body, and the end of the HTML. So that is the entire code for this project, which relies on different folders for your images, another folder for a smaller thumbnail of the image, a larger image that goes into the iframe itself so it's nice and clear, and multiple MP3 files for our audio tag. And even though you can't hear what I'm reading, I'll just go through all of these really quick. Okay. And that's all that I've got so far. Like I said, that all these pages are about 25% of the book. So instead of having this many image icons to click on times 4, what I'll probably do is, how will I do this? I got to figure something out because I really don't want to squeeze this many image icons at one time. And when this opens up all the way, and then especially if you're looking at it a bigger screen, then it's not so bad. But this is still a lot of images times 4 to have. So I have to think about how I want to deal with putting the other 75% of the book onto this. But I'm not going to do another video on this because I've basically shown you, the how-to to do it if you want to do some kind of project similar at home. And again, don't forget, when you're doing somebody else's work, you can't put this out as if it's your own work because that's a copyright issue. But if you're just fooling around with a book that you own at home and you just want to practice web design just to get the feel for it, instead of writing your own book, you can get the feel for the coding itself by using something you already own. And then somewhere down the line, if you ever write your own book or do your own videos or recipes or journal or bills or whatever you want to use your web page thing for, you can just kind of copy your template here and replace this stuff with your own stuff. All right, that's going to close for this video.